Hi, welcome to the Transfer Talks podcast. It's your co-host Ashmit. Super special guest today, Brandon, who's a transfer from community college to UCLA. So we'll be hearing his story today. So like we normally start these interviews off by just having the guests reflect on their experience and their whole like transfer journey. So would you like to get us started?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start from when I started community college. And so my experience is a little different because I attended high school for my freshman and sophomore year, and then decided I wanted to take the California High School Proficiency Exam, the CHESP, which is a high school exit exam, which allows you to test out of high school after 2 years of being in high school. And so that's what I chose to do. And I took the test and I passed it. And then so for the I guess what would have been my junior and senior year of high school, I attended community college. Um, and then from community college, I was able to transfer to UCLA. And so what's kind of cool about that is I was able to come to UCLA a little bit younger, so as an 18-year-old third year transfer. And then I'll graduate by the time I'm 20, so I get a little bit of a head start. Get to be, younger and finish earlier. So that's kind of my overview, like my high level journey of my transfer experience so far.
Like what made you decide to take the CHESP and decide to go to community college?
Yeah, so I started high school 2019, and then COVID happened in 2020, obviously. And so it was kind of a series of events that was like, okay, we all went to online school for a little bit, and I had some realizations. I was like, okay, high school is maybe not the best learning environment for me. I kind of it wasn't the most optimal for my learning. And so, during COVID, I did some research trying to figure out, okay, what are some other alternatives for me? Because I kind of really don't want to go back to high school, after things start being in person again. I don't want to, you know, uh, go back to in-person high school. And so trying to find alternatives during that period of time. And so I stumbled across the CHESP. So it allows you to test out of high school as early as 16 years old. And I think it was great for me, uh, especially because, college is kind of a less structured environment, especially because a lot of my classes were online at that point, because it was still kind of in the COVID era. And so I was able to kind of work at my own pace, learn at my own pace, do school from home, not have to go into in-person high school. Um, the professors, the way they taught was much more. It was just better for me to learn in community college as opposed to high school. And so, yeah, so that's kind of the reason why I decided to test out, just because high school wasn't really my thing, and community college ended up being much better.
Yeah, I agree with that. I went to high school from like to my junior year, and then I kind of had the realization as well that I was probably not going to get into a good college with my high school grades. So like the inevitable was going to go to like going to community college. So I decided to do that earlier.
Mhm.
Um, and same thing, like me and Neil, like we agree that like high school, like we didn't really put in as much work as we should have, but like community college has really given us a second chance to actually like do our 100%. And
Yeah.
so we're excited. Me and Neil just put in our UC applications, excited to see how the cycle turns out. But in terms of like community college, do you start by like doing like online classes or in-person classes? Or like what would you recommend to like someone that's brand new out of high school just going to community college?
I would say there's pros and cons to both. I really did enjoy kind of having online classes uh, exclusively for the first like what 1 or 2 quarters of community college, just because it was a nice change of pace from high school, from in-person classes. You can kind of go at your own pace, you can work at your own pace, you can learn on your own time. Um, but there's also kind of the benefit of being in person and going to class in person at college is like you're surrounded by a lot of like-minded people physically. Um, I feel like learning is better facilitated in like a classroom environment. And so you're maybe more inclined to pay attention and learn if that's something you're worried about. So yeah, I think there's pros and cons to both, but I really did enjoy both. I took in-person classes and online classes.
Mm,
Um, for the most part, my classes at community college were actually online. I took probably two or three in-person classes, and I think they were good. They were fine, but it's a mix of both. Yeah.
yeah. Back to the Chesapeake thing, like by being a community college and transferring, you actually like increase your race, like your chances of getting in significantly. Like it's almost double, like for like the UCs, right? Is
Yeah.
that something you looked at when you were like making your decision to exit high school and go to community college?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, my transition from high school to community college, I wasn't really thinking about like my chances of getting into a university. I was kind of just more focused on, I really want to get out of high school. What are some ways I can do that? And it ended up working out really well that that the transfer ad rates are actually a lot higher than first year admits. And
Mm,
so I got really lucky there. And I think that's a really great benefit of um, you know, taking the Chespi and getting a little bit of a head start because, you know, all of my friends that are the same age as me that are from high school, they are applying as first year admits. And so it's a little bit harder for them to get into the UCs while I'm still the same age as them, but since I have, third year standing, transfer standing, I get a little bit of a higher chance of admission into these schools. So I think that was a really great benefit for me, and it just ended up working out that way, even though I kind of wasn't thinking about it coming into community college.
Mhm. Yeah. Hi, Brandon. Nice to meet you. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties, but I wanted to
Oh,
go talk a little bit more about sort of like major selection. So like maybe like for Stanford, Columbia, those schools they admit to the university, whereas like a UCLA or a Berkeley, they admit to the major. So I'm personally applying econ. I know Ashmit's applying like computer engineering. Like if you look at the data, it's like a significantly lower acceptance rate. Did you kind of like have like a major? Did you when thinking about your major? Do you have any thought of like, oh, I'm gonna just apply to like the one I want to do, or maybe like a major that is not as impacted.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I guess one thing about also starting community college early at 16 is that it's kind of hard to know exactly what you want to do and kind of what you want to pursue for the rest of your, college career. And so coming into community college, I selected math as my major. I was a pre-math major. I did all the math prerequisites, and um, it did work out that I could have applied for CS. I did get into some schools for CS. I got into San Diego and Santa Barbara for CS, which was cool. But um, yeah, picking my major was a matter of just basically thinking about what I liked from high school and what I was good at. And so math was one of those main points for me. And I think in the back of my mind, like I knew that I didn't really want to do CS for the rest of my life. And so I was like, okay, what's kind of adjacent and what's kind of more broad that I can apply to different aspects that are not just software engineering, not just AI applications. So I think math was a good choice for me, and math has stayed a good choice for me. Even now, I would say like I'm kind of straying away from pure mathematics, pure kind of applied math, software engineering space. Um, I joined a research lab back in March, and the work we do is in biomedical engineering, so robotic prosthetics and stuff. And so that's kind of the work I'm really passionate about. That's like math has been a major part of it, and my major has been very applicable still. So yeah, that was kind of my thinking and how math has worked out for me in my field in my journey.
all right. And so like going into the application season, like what schools did you apply to with what GPA? And then like where did you end up in? Like what schools did you get into at the end?
Yeah, yeah. So I only applied to the UCs. I had about a 3.85 GPA. And I got into every single UC except for Berkeley. And I didn't apply to Mercy. But yeah, every
Mm,
single UC.
okay. And what major did you choose for Berkeley?
For Berkeley, I think it was applied math. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And like what ECs did you have towards like during your time at community college?
Sorry, say that again.
What uses did you have during your time at community college?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So yeah, I keep coming back to like the benefits of the chess bee and how it tied into everything. But basically, since I was still the same age as like someone in high school, I was still able to participate in a lot of high school extracurriculars. Um, just because I knew people from my high school clubs, and I was actually able to have board positions on my high school clubs, even though I just went to school somewhere else. And so that was really great. I was really involved in dance for a long time, actually. So I led dance teams, I choreographed performances, and that was kind of a major part of what I highlighted in my UC application was kind of how dance fit into like my leadership capabilities and yeah, like being a good mentor and learning organizational skills and stuff. So that was really cool. Apart from that, I actually didn't do any major like math or CS clubs that were part of my community college. Um, Most of the extent of what I did at CC was just classes, I guess. Um, and then a lot of like the ECs that I highlighted in my UC application were more from my first 2 years in high school, which were like I won some awards for CS competitions in my freshman and sophomore year. I what else did I do? I was in some clubs. I joined a robotics club for a while, so I highlighted that. But um, yeah, mostly from high school.
Hmm. So like now that you have like successfully transferred, how have you felt like I was just at UCLA like the other weekend. But I was asking some of my friends and that transferred there, and they mentioned how there's a significant like jump in sort of like research resources, and how like from when they attended community college, they really weren't getting their resumes looked at. But now that they were at UCLA, they had so many more resources. Could you like sort of talk to like kind of like the differences you've seen from community college and UCLA?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I guess in community college, a lot of people are different, but for me, I wasn't super focused on what I wanted to do with my career. I was just kind of focused on getting through my classes, getting good grades, stuff like that, not doing anything that I was sort of interested in. But at UCLA, I feel like there are a lot of ways to apply yourself and a lot of different ways you can pursue the things you're passionate about. Whether that be clubs, I think a lot of the clubs here, while some are very selective and competitive, a lot of them are also very welcoming. And so whatever it is that you want to do, you can find a space, you can find a team, you can find an environment that you can build skills in and um, pursue your passions in. So I think that's really one thing that's really great about UCLA and probably a lot of other universities. That's just like there are a lot of people willing to help you and willing to help you, build your skills in whatever you want to pursue. For me, especially, like I wanted to get into robotics coming to UCLA. So I was able to join um, the mechanical engineering club. I joined a robotics team. From there, I got into a research lab that I'm not part of anymore, but I did some work for that. And then eventually getting into this research lab where I do most of my work. So it's been kind of a cool journey to be able to pursue a lot of different things.
I see. And like when it comes to like writing your essays, like you have eight different options when it comes to like your personal responses. Like, how would you recommend choosing them and then going ahead and actually like start writing them?
Mhm. Yeah. So I guess you guys know as a transfer, you have to, one of them is mandatory, right? It's the,
Yeah. And then you have three that are like you can choose from.
yeah, yeah. Um, so in terms of the optional ones, I remember one of them being um, kind of the leadership qualities that I was able to demonstrate and from dance and leading a dance team. So that was one of the major, I think that was probably one of my best essays that I'm most proud of was like my passion in bringing people together, um, and kind of the ability to spread my passion um, with other people and share this passion with other people of dance and performance and bringing that skill and that ability to other areas of my life, whether it be mentoring students in research or teaching students, teaching classes, stuff like that.
Got it. And like, so transferring is like a lot more different than like first year. So like in your like experience, what would you say is like the importance of like each aspect of like your transfer profile, like your GPA, ECs, and like your completing your recommended classes, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I guess I'm still in the process of kind of figuring that out. And I think it's different for everyone because there's a lot of different ways you can go when you're graduated after college. And it depends on what you want to do, right? So for me, like I want to go to grad school, do either a master's or PhD in biomedical engineering. And so my focus, my main kind of two priorities are keeping my grades up and then also doing meaningful, significant research in my lab. And so that's kind of the two pillars of what I have defined to be success at UCLA. But also, like, there are many other forms of success that people have defined for themselves. You can look for internships, you can join clubs, um, and all these things are equally important if you want to, go out into the workforce right out of college. You probably want to be getting internships and joining clubs that kind of show your capabilities in whatever field you want to pursue.
Yeah, 100%. Um, and now that you are all another like post-transfer question. So now that you've transferred to kind of UCLA, you if you were to go back, kind of like reflect on all the decisions, would you have done anything like different? Would you have kept everything like the same? Like what's your like headspace in that kind of area?
Yeah, I think looking back, I like things probably worked out the best I could have imagined, honestly, because I never would have expected that, making the decision to test out of high school would result in me being here at UCLA about to graduate at 19 years old. Um, I think that's such a crazy thing to say, even saying it out loud to you right now. And it's like, that is, that's just crazy and it's unbelievable. And um, if I were to do anything differently, like I definitely would not have went back to high school. I definitely would not have picked another university. I feel very happy with where I'm at. If I had to say one thing, it would probably be prepare myself better for university in community college. I think some aspects of community college are a lot easier than university level classes, whether that be like, professors curve more or the materials easier or the classes are less rigorous. I think it was kind of an adjustment for me learning how to uh, really study and learning how to kind of make my grades my priority. Because coming to UCLA was the first time I kind of had to apply myself in that aspect.
Mm. Yeah, that like actually transitions me to my next question. Is like one thing that I'm thinking about is like how the transition would be from community college, where it's kind of like the professor's really lenient and like just kind of gives most people A's. But like at university, I know that some class policies are that they curve down or only like a certain number of students get an A. So like how has like the transition been like in terms of like rigor?
Yeah, so in the math department, I haven't had an experience of like people curving down or only designating a certain amount of A's to people. But I think for the most part, professors are very fair, which means that you do have to study and you do have to apply yourself. And you do have to dedicate a lot of time to your classes. But if you do, and if you go to office hours and if you do the practice problems and all that stuff that is important, then I think it is very achievable to do well in classes. Um, it just is a matter of, you know, learning how to apply yourself in a way that, for me, like I've never done before, um, to that such a high level. Um, Also, I guess there's the aspect of like social life, right? Because it's not just about, you know, wanting to keep your grades up. It's also about making connections and what your social life looks like at college, especially because for a lot of people, it's like they are 20 now and it's their first time maybe living away from home or living in dorms. And it's like you kind of have to adjust to being around to like everyone around you being the same age as you, trying to do the same things as you, and living in such close quarters with everyone, right? And so a lot of that is also a transition, is like learning how to make connections, make friends, also talk to professors, talk to grad students, people you want to be in contact with, talk to recruiters, whoever it may be. Learning how to, come out of your shell and be bold and kind of create a community for yourself that um, you don't have at home or at community college.
Yeah, definitely. And like that's also something I'm thinking about is like transferring like you're only spending like 2 years there and you might not know like most of the people that actually like you transfer with. So like how is it like finding like a community and like finding friends and like actually having like a social life when you transfer?
Yeah, yeah. I would say a lot of people have found it, not to discourage any transfers, but I think a lot of people mm, kind of maybe find it a little bit hard to get their footing as a transfer, maybe coming into a university, just because we as transfers have less time to do everything that we want to do and to use all the resources available to us at university, right? We only have 2 years versus where first year admits have 4 years to do everything they want to do. And so coming into university, I definitely felt that pressure to be like, I want to do research, I want to, um, make projects, make connections with professors and and stuff. So that was definitely some pressure I felt. Um, Also, I would say pursuing your passions, pursuing what you want to do, whether it relates to um, your side projects or your main, major. I think that ties into creating a community for yourself and making friends because you can go to CS clubs or mechanical engineering clubs where you want to do the work that you want to do, and you can make friends in those environments. And so I would say that's one of the best ways to cultivate a community for yourself because you're constantly going to these places, doing work in these places with everyone, with the same people. And so you can start to make friends, you start to make connections. Um, so yeah, I would say that's a great way to kind of make progress in what you want to do while at the same time building a community for yourself.
Yeah, that makes sense. And to sort of go back to community college, I know it's hard to kind of create like a community in community college as well. Everyone kind of like has that sort of notion of, oh, let me just go finish up all my work and let me just transfer with the California community colleges.
Mm.
So what was your like kind of approach to sort of like cultivating that kind of community back in CC so you can succeed?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my experience was a little different because I was younger and I was still very involved in high school activities with dance and stuff. I basically went to my high school campus to practice dance with my team a lot, and so I was interacting with them a lot, which meant that I wasn't on my community college campus that much. And
Mm,
so, I wasn't able to pursue a lot of community college activities like clubs or social gatherings and stuff. Um, Most of my time spent uh, outside of outside of classes was with either my friends who are all also still in high school or clubs which were also took place at my high school. Um, and so it was just like I went to school at a different place, but my social circle, my community was still very much high school involved. Um, I do wish that I kind of pursued more endeavors in community college though, like maybe joining a robotics team or you know, trying to find internships or connecting with professors. I think that would have been valuable looking back. So yeah, back to your question of like, what would you do differently? That's definitely one of the things I would probably do differently is be more involved in community college.
So kind of like at UCLA, I'm a freshman transfer, so I'll be transferring in a year. And my kind of thought process is I want to spend as much time at college as possible. So
Mm.
even though I'll be transferring as a junior, I want to kind of like take 3 years instead of two. I know at Berkeley, they allow you to take those extra like 2 semesters or like 1 year, but I'm curious how it is for UCLA.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of in the same boat as you because at UCLA, you know, you have 2 years, and I want to go to grad school and finish up my research. So I will actually be taking an extra fall quarter to graduate. And so the thing with this is that you are allowed, no questions asked. You have an extra fall quarter to finish up your classes, finish up all of your obligations at UCLA. If you want to um, extend for an entire extra year as a transfer, you will have a petition. Um, and I don't know how, from what I've heard, the petition process for extending your time at UCLA for an extra whole year is pretty uh, competitive, and it's not something that happens often. So I don't know how it is at Berkeley if it's easy to do that, but I've asked about this, and UCLA, it's pretty hard to petition for the entire extra year. The most you most likely will be able to stay is one extra quarter.
Got it. And like something that we're like trying to talk more about on this channel is like kind of the financial aspect of attending a university because a lot of people are attending community college solely for the reason of saving money. So like how have you been able to like manage the financial aspect of university?
Yeah, so I do get financial aid, um, and that has helped a lot. Also, over the summer, I get paid to do research, and so that has helped with my living expenses, food, housing, stuff like that. Also, like applying to fellowships, especially because I do research, has been nice. I'm looking at some just financial aid fellowships for my research to promote, to facilitate my living and necessities while I'm doing research at UCLA. So that stuff like that will definitely help too. But I would say like as costly as the university is, as expensive as it is, like I think it's worth it. I think um, all the resources you have at your disposal, all the experiences you get to have, um, it is definitely worth it to go to, if you have the ability to go to top schools like UCLA, Berkeley. Yeah.
Got it. I guess you already like kind of mentioned this, but like you're interested in like doing research. So like what are your plans like for the future and like how do you think UCLA and like the connections and the resources can like kind of help you get you there?
Yeah. So my plan is probably to um, apply to graduate schools next fall. So that'll be my last quarter at UCLA. And I will start my master's or grad school program the following fall, which means that I have 9 months in between when I'm done at UCLA and when I start grad school to do kind of whatever I want. I could travel, I could, work an internship, ideally both maybe. Um, and then after, hopefully 2 years will be enough to finish my master's, and then I would want to go into industry, work in research and development, um, and then hopefully maybe the top level goal is to have my own robotics startup. And so that's kind of what I'm building all these skills for. I think robotics is a really promising field, and that's why I'm so excited about kind of being in this space, biomedical engineering, especially, just because there's so many cool things happening in this field that I feel really excited about. And so startup life is definitely what I want to pursue and what I want to be involved in um, as a kind of final goal for me.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that's a great plan, and I can't wait to see the future of all of that stuff. So, thank you so much, Brandon. I think we're almost running out of time, but I want to thank you. I know I came on a little late, but
Yeah, no worries.
you did answer a bunch of my questions, especially with the UC, kind of taking an extra year and kind of like the social life there. I think I'm definitely clarified. And yeah, I wish you all the best on your journey.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so much. Like you clarified a lot of things for me as well, because I'm a Chesby student. I was like stressed, like, oh, what do they even accept Chesby students? But I guess
yeah,
they do, and I guess this can also be like useful for like our audience that maybe you're in high school and like don't really like maybe like the curriculum and can actually
cool.
take an alternate path of community college. So like, yeah, thank you so much for hopping on. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, guys. This was so fun.
Mhm.